Are you struggling sometimes to take really good photographs and don't even know what photography composition means and how you can apply that to your images? Well, today I will talk about exactly that, and I will show you 5 quick tips on how you can improve your images in a heartbeat. Hi there, Magdalena here from the Creative Photography School, and today is all about photography composition. So what does actually composition mean? The term composition means putting together and can apply to any work of art, from music to writing or to photography, that is arranged or put together using conscious thought. So in simple terms, that just means in your photographs, all the different elements, your subject, your objects, your background, all of them play together and they're creating a harmony and are directing the eye of the viewer. So why is this important and how can you apply that to your images? Well, having good composition will set you apart from a mere beginner and also just from somebody who's taking snapshots. You are then a photographer and you are creating a picture with a vision and a purpose, and intentionally creating images that have a vision and that have harmony inside the image and directing the eye of the viewer. That is really key to good photographs. So how can you apply them to your images? Well, there are multiple guidelines and rules out there, and I would really encourage you to start studying and really take a note of all of them and really get into the nitty-gritty and practice. But today, to just get you started, I will show you 5 of those, and they're really basic, but they're really impactful. I still use them all the time in my wedding and portrait photography business, and I will show you a few images of my wedding stuff that you can see how I apply them. And they're really basic, but they are so key to your photographs. So let's just jump right in. Tip number 1, the rule of thirds. You've probably heard of this one before. It basically just divides your images in 9 parts and is just a grid of 9 sections that you can apply to your images in your head. But also in some of your camera settings, you can probably set up that when you look through the viewfinder or on your LCD screen on the back of your camera, that you can actually see the grid already there. And this rule actually just says that your subject of interest should be either on the left-hand side or the right-hand side of this grid, or on the upper third or the lower third, horizontally speaking, or even both. But it should try to avoid to be in any of the middle sections. It's just not, the image is just plain, sorry to say this, but plain boring if it is just in the middle. There are cases where the middle section is really valuable, and I will show you some of that later on. But how does that look when you apply it to an image? Well, in this one is one of my wedding work image. You can see that the couple is to the right-hand side, and you can really see that the bride's face is exactly actually on the grid of the horizontal upper third and the right-hand side third of the vertical. Obviously, this doesn't have to be all the time that it is exactly on the grid or on the intersection of the two. So in this image, for example, you can see that the sun and the sun rays on the beach are really the point of interest here. And the grid shows you that it's not exactly on the lines and on the intersection, but you get the idea that the horizontal line is actually not in the middle. It's more towards the upper third, and the sun is towards the right-hand side third. Tip number 2, decluttering. Okay, this one is a bit, some people call it differently, others call it this way. I just prefer to say decluttering because I've read somewhere once before, as a painter, you decide what to include in your painting. And as a photographer, you decide what to exclude in your photographs. So really, to me, this is really key because you're trying to avoid all the clutter in your pictures. The world is full of clutter. If you look outside and you want to take a beautiful sunset and all of a sudden, there's street signs everywhere, that are in the way, and you just have to be really creative in thinking more about what actually your surrounding is and what you want to include in your frame. So in this one, for example, it's just my cat, George. And, but you can see, this was taken in my bedroom, and to the right-hand side of this picture, there's actually a huge chest of drawers. And to the left-hand side of the pictures, there were loads of, stuff on my bedside table with a lamp and etc. So it was really not the ideal setting. So I moved in a bit closer and to just avoid all of them and to really show a picture that is decluttered. So next time when you go out, just have a look look around you and see, you know, whether you have street signs or cars that are moving by or people. Maybe you just wait for a second and people will pass, cars will pass by, and you have a beautiful shot then and there. Or you switch up your angle. If you can't avoid some of the street signs, just move in closer. Or if you can't do that, maybe, you know, a lower angle or a higher up angle would actually avoid some of the clutter. So just think outside the box a bit and try to avoid those clutter items. Tip number 3, the leading lines. This one is really impactful. I really love this one because all this basically says is there are physical lines or even just imaginary lines that will direct the eye of the viewer of the picture into the picture and onto your subject of interest. So in this instance, you can see there's a beautiful dress hanging on the door, and by going really close to the wall, I could see, you know, there are multiple lines right there that will actually direct the viewer right onto the dress. And in this picture with the couple, we were obviously on a bridge above a river. And here you can also see loads of lines that are actually moving towards the couple and directing the eye of the viewer. This is really, really lovely. And it's a really nice way to just, you know, get creative and start seeing those lines in your surroundings. Tip number 4, symmetry. Symmetry is really another really powerful. I told you I really love these. So symmetry is something that I really use as well. And in a symmetric image, all it means is that basically you can mirror, if you cut the picture in the middle, that one side and the other side look mirrored and identical. For example, in this image by Reinhard Möller, you can see that just by photographing the edge of the building, he could have done it any number of ways, but just by photographing the edge of the building, it had this lovely mirrored effect. And on the top, like you can see some, I don't know, power lines or something like that. They don't look identical, but it doesn't really matter because your eye is really focused on this middle line and this powerful, you know, these circles and this powerful architecture. And symmetry oftentimes is actually can be found actually in architecture. And it's a really powerful way to express it and gives attention in the image that is really lovely. I use it also in my wedding work, as you can see here sometimes. Having the couple in the middle, again, with these, well, this one with the architecture in the background that is symmetrical. It's just really powerful. I just love it. I use it all the time. Tip number 5, interesting foreground. This one is really nice as well. Some people call it even layering, because basically you have to imagine your image is made up of multiple layers. So for example, you have a beautiful landscape, and you have an interesting foreground, like pebbles on the beach or some leaves on the side from a bush or something like that. And that leads into the picture. And then your subject of interest is in the middle layer, for example. And then you have the background in the very back. So like mountains or, you know, a forest or whatever it is. And it's just it leads the eye to your subject that's in the middle layer and just creates a nice tension. So for example, in this image, you can see there's a bush or something in the front that I shot through, and then you have the couple in the middle, and then you have you have a little bit of a background there. In this picture, even you can see by Todd Sisson that, yeah, he's using those pebbles that I was just saying, and then he has that really leads into the picture, and the subject of interest, in this case, I think is the water and the grass on the water, really. And that leads the eye of the viewer. And then you see the beautiful backdrop in the background. So it's just really creating a beautiful layers in your images. So just a quick recap. The 5 quick photography composition tips that we talked about today was the rule of thirds, the decluttering, the leading lines, the symmetry, and then the interesting foreground. That was it really. I hope that you liked those 5 quick tips. I'm sure they will help you in the long run to just improve your images in a heartbeat. You just need to apply them, to really practice them. And to help you with that, I created a PDF cheat sheet that you can print off, you can download, print off, and take with you on your next photo excursion, on your next journey out and about, just so that you have something to have a sneaky peek on when you need a little refresher. So just hit the link below in the description and I will send that PDF straight into your inbox. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you like this video. Make sure to subscribe, like, and comment. I would love to hear from you, and I will see you next time.